What is the weirdest fact you know? Most of the camels of Saudi Arabia are imported from Australia. Frederick Bauer, the inventor of the Pringles can, is buried in one. We don't really know who the inventor of the fire hydrant is, because the patent was destroyed in a fire. Woodpeckers' tongues wrap around their brain to cushion them from a concussion when they peck against tree trunks. Cabbage, broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, collard greens, Savoy cabbage, kohlrabi, and gai lan are all the same species of plant. Brassica oleracea, just bred to enhance different parts of the plant. Volkswagen makes a currywurst and it has its own original part number. Number 199,398,500A. A fungi grows next to the highly radioactive elephant's foot in the Chernobyl reactor. It feeds off the gamma rays emitted by the nuclear fuel in a process known as radiosynthesis. If you were exposed to similar levels of radiation, you would have a lethal dose in 3 minutes. Sloths can hold their breath longer than dolphins can. The man who invented the Match.com website lost his wife to a man she met on Match.com. When male honeybees orgasm, their penises explode with a pop, audible to human ears. There was a genetic bottleneck in standard poodles starting in the 1950s. A kennel called the Wycliffe Kennel line bred exceptional show dogs which became highly sought after as studs. Even today, many standard poodles carry a substantial percentage from this line which traces back to just 5 dogs. Doorknobs that are made out of brass can disinfect itself in about 8 hours. Koalas have fingerprints that are very close to human fingerprints. There apparently have been several break-in Australia by the same person, based off fingerprint evidence. Turned out to be a koala that was responsible for all of these. If you want to paint a violin red, you have to use a naphthol or pyrrole red, as a cadmium red pigment is too heavy and will alter the sound. An average storm cloud weighs about 199 kilograms. The spinal cord has the consistency of a ripe banana. It takes 3 full rotations of a head to fully take it off. Human head. When caterpillars make their chrysalises, they don't just grow wings and change. They dissolve completely into goo, which then reforms into the butterfly. Better yet, if you train the caterpillars to dislike certain stimuli, the resulting butterflies retain that memory and will avoid the same stimuli. Anglerfish mate by the male biting the female's abdomen. Over time, the male is absorbed and linked to the female's circulatory system while the male basically melts into a parasite-looking growth that is actually nothing but testicles which the female will use when she's ready. Weird enough for you? Tapirs' penises are not only very large relative to body length, but they are also prehensile, i.e., they can grip and grab. The Iron Maiden was never a torture device. Some archaeologist a couple hundred years ago just found an old metal coffin that happened to have metal spikes by it, and he just assumed that the spikes belonged on the door of the coffin. The weight of all of ants on the planet is equal to the weight of all humans on the planet. Most rune stones erected by Norsemen were erected by Christians, and they're often decorated with Christian crosses. Runic writing also continued for centuries after conversion, so it's not uncommon to see things like "God help his soul" on rune stones. It might not be so weird if one's intimately familiar with the topic, but I think a lot of people just seem to associate runic writing with paganism. A whale's fart bubble is so big that you could fit a Volkswagen inside of it. The fart bubble, not the whale. If it was not for some gut bacteria, we would fart in colors. The first American film to drop an F-bomb was MASH. I just heard this one on No Such Thing as a Fish, so I don't know if it's true. But apparently if you play Tetris for 20 minutes within 6 hours after a traumatic car accident, you'll be 62% less likely to have PTSD-like memories of the event. That divider at grocery stores that separates stuff on the conveyor belt is called a spratchet. If you type Illuminati backwards on your search bar, along with Atanamulli.com, it'll take you straight to the NSA website. Moose can dive up to 30 feet underwater to eat vegetation growing there when above ground is covered in snow. Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, the author of Sherlock Holmes, published a book in 1922 about how fairies are real based on some pictures of fairies deemed authentic by an expert. Edit. Well, rip my inbox. Now my book of useless information is 2 halves for getting me the most upvoted comments. The noises the raptors made in Jurassic Park were actually turtles frolicking. You put yogurt in someone's butthole to speed up decomposition. Wombats poop in cubes, then use the poop cubes to build little walls. That there was a NASA-funded project in the 60s to teach dolphins to speak English, which managed to involve giving a dolphin handjobs and LSD. The CIA spent nearly 5 years and $10 million to make a covert spy cat with implanted microphones to eavesdrop on the Soviets. It was run over and killed by a car on its first mission. Let's see. The world's shortest war was over in 38 minutes. The longest war was over 300 years. The reason banana-flavored candy doesn't taste like bananas is because the banana we eat today is not the same as the one the flavor was created to mimic. Edit. After several comments have pointed it out, I did some research. It appears that the banana fact I shared isn't accurate. However, I am leaving it because it triggered some wonderful discussions on different banana varieties, including Cavendish and Gros Michel. That was worth the time. The skin between muscle and fat is called fascia and looks like a cobweb when pulled from those sections. Edit. By skin I mean connective tissue. If you flick your nipple it'll get hard in 6 to 7 seconds. Coconuts kill 103 people a year. The term, "drink the Kool-Aid," is historically incorrect. Jim Jones used Flavor Aid. You have a ball sack because you need to have your balls at 34 degrees Celsius to produce sperm, but your body is 37 degrees. The sack keeps them farther away. That's also why your balls shrivel when you are cold. Gotta maintain homeostasis. There is a species of penguins called Adelie penguins in Antarctica that are so thorny they will screw anything. Examples include female penguins, male penguins, injured penguins, dead bodies, dead fish, the freaking ground. Basically anything that moves or doesn't move. Edit. My apologies. Phone auto corrected Antarctica with Arctic. Also they screw anything that moves and doesn't move. Babies don't have kneecaps. Female bedbugs lack a genital cavity. So the male bedbug has to literally stab his dick into the female bedbug's stomach and then when they're done screwing, that's it. But what makes it even more interesting is that bedbugs are unable to tell the difference between other male and female bedbugs. Use your imagination a little for that one. Edit. What the heck, I went to bed and I woke up to find this blew up. Thanks for the awards and upvotes. Hippopotamus sweat is pink. Your anus comprises either 35 or 37 creases, resulting in a pattern as unique as your fingertips. This discovery, first made by Salvador Dali, allowed for the development of an anus examining smart toilet. On the same topic, it turns out that humans are deuterostomes. This means that at the start of its development, an embryo goes through a stage during which its tissue folds back over itself, creating something called a blastopore. As maturation continues, this blastopore becomes the anus. In short, you can make the argument that every person is an overgrown and unique as whole. There are more ways to shuffle a deck of cards than there are atoms on Earth. The dot on top of an I and AJ is called a tittle. Technically speaking, a male ballet dancer is a ballerino. Also, a single strand of spaghetti is a spaghetto. Spaghetto is also my favorite term for a rough Italian neighborhood. The Stegosaurus was extinct for about 90 million years before Tyrannosaurus showed up. And the Tyrannosaurus has been extinct for about 65 million years. We are much closer in time to the T-Rex than the T-Rex was to Stegosaurus. Also, Cleopatra was born closer to our time than she was to the building of the pyramids. Our perception of time is funny. Sharks are older than trees. A lot older. 40 million years older. Some science. Trees as we familiarly know them today: a primary trunk, large height, crown of leaves or fronds didn't appear on the planet until the late Devonian period, some 360 million years ago. You might be surprised to learn that sharks are older than trees. They've been around for at least 400 million years. Weirder. I understand all coal formed during the time after trees appeared, but before the bacteria that breaks them down after they fell. No new coal has formed in a very long time. 100 million years? Macaulay Culkin is a classically trained ballet dancer. The average human erection has roughly about 130 milliliters of blood in it, while the average rabbit has about 126 milliliters in its entire body. So, there is more blood in your boner than in a bunny. HEK 293 cells. A scientist named Alex van der Flat in Netherlands made immortal cells from the liver of an aborted human fetus in the 70s. Those cells have been producing our vaccines for the last 50 years. I don't mean to spread this as misinformation, or as any correlation to the current pandemic. It's just a super weird fact I knew. Edit. Seems like I got the organ wrong. It was kidney and not liver cells. This is gonna get NSFW, but anyway. The scar that guys have between their legs that connects the scrotum to the anus, that was supposed to be the angina. That closed up when we developed as a fetus. The average length of a whale angina is 21 centimeters or 8.2 inches. The Schwarzschild radius of a human is 10 to the minus 23 power centimeters. That means that if a average-sized human is pressed into a space with a radius of 0.0000000000000000001 centimeters, they'd become a black hole. In 2014, a man in the Italian town called Bra was actually arrested for stealing bras. Most Irish flags are wrong. Here's why: they're made in Chinese factories in large numbers and made to the most common flag size 2:3 length ratio. But the Irish flag is a 1:2 ratio. We've got a longer than usual flag but not many flag factories, so most flags here are wrong. But that's kind of common. Any American flags produced in those same factories are wrong too. If you're cold and have shivers but your testicles are hanging low, you have a fever. Edit. Holy cow, I didn't expect this comment to gain such traction. Thank you all for the upvotes, comments and awards. So to answer the most common question, I was on Yahoo Answers years and years ago for some laughs and came across that information. I had to look it up and turned out it was true. So even though you're freezing with chills and shivers, they continue to hang low since your body temperature is higher than normal. The only vehicle in all Commonwealth countries that could legally pass a hearse funeral car was the Queen's Post mail courier. Not the police, not a fire truck, ambulance, nothing. Not sure if this is still true anymore. The world's most dense organism is a tree named pondolol that has just cloned itself across approximately 100 acres. There's a higher chance of you dying in a gender reveal party than getting attacked by a shark. American shoe sizes are measured in barley inches, defined as the length of 3 ears of barley corn, whereas UK shoes are measured in industrial inches, defined as 25.39 millimeters. A group of 12 or more cows is called a flink. If someone asks for weird facts on Reddit, the majority of them are about animal penises or animal mating. A whale's penis is called a dork. Banana slugs do something called apophallation, which means they make themselves female by chewing off their own penis. If you were an Egyptian pharaoh and immortal making $10,000 a day, you still wouldn't have as much money as the richest man on earth today. If you shoot a gun too close to the henhouse, the hens lay bloody eggs. Carved figures of animals on gravestones carry meaning. For example, lambs are often found on the gravestones of children. Detailed carved figurines of family dogs are sometimes found atop graves of their human friends. Though more uncommon, roosters atop a stone are usually thought to be symbolic of Judgment Day. It is illegal to kill a rat on Sunday in the state of Iowa. Your lips and your butthole are made out of the same type of epithelial tissue. Dolphins are gang rapists, cannibalists and straight-up murder sharks for fun. Every planet in our solar system could fit side by side between the Earth and our moon. A group of ravens is called an unkindness. The 2016 Summer Olympics athletes used more than 450,000 condoms. Generally, the price of frozen pork belly, bacon, futures skyrockets once per year. In August, coinciding with the ripeness of Jersey tomatoes, for BLTs. In the early 1980s, the Naval Investigative Service was investigating homosexuality in the Chicago area. Agents discovered that gay men sometimes referred to themselves as Friends of Dorothy, unaware of the historical meaning of the term. The NIS believed that there actually was a woman named Dorothy at the center of a massive ring of homosexual military personnel, so they launched an enormous and futile hunt for the elusive Dorothy, hoping to find her and convince her to reveal the names of gay service members. I don't know if this is a weird fact, but Jacques Villeneuve is, so far, the only F1 world champion that during his career no F1 drivers were killed in F1-related accidents. A 600-pound octopus can squeeze itself through a hole the size of a quarter. Edit. Fact check. The deadliest job in America is President of the United States with a death rate of approximately 16%. Pigs can't look up at the sky. I have a few. 1. Mantis shrimp can punch with the force of a .22 caliber bullet. 2. Charlie Chaplin once placed third in a Charlie Chaplin look-alike contest. 3. Finland is the metal capital of the world, having the most metal bands per capita. 4. General Douglas MacArthur had an extremely elaborate plan to win the Korean War in no more than 10 days. consisting of about 50 tactical nukes, 2 U.S. Marine divisions, about 1,500 to 2,000 South Korean troops, and irradiating the entire northern border of North Korea with cobalt, which can last for 60 to 120 years. The eye on Jupiter is a storm the size of Earth. Sea otters steal seal pups and rape them to death. I used to work in sea otter rehabilitation. Canada eats more macaroni and cheese than any other nation in the world. Human beings need vitamin K to survive. Vitamin K is produced by bacteria in the human large intestine. Vitamin K is absorbed in the small intestine. The large intestine follows the small intestine in human anatomy. The difference between cake and biscuits, cookies, is that cake hardens when it goes stale, while biscuits soften when stale. This was presented as evidence in a 1991 UK tax trial by makers of Jaffa cakes who argued their confection was not cake, as the name would imply, but biscuits, and should therefore be taxed at that rate. They won the case. On the first Foo Fighters album, Dave Grohl was the only member of the band and he played every instrument. Men cannot ejaculate and pee at the same time. If you have 30 or more people in a room, there's like a 75% chance that at least 2 of them will have the same birthday. The human brain has the same consistency as warm butter. Now take a moment to think about brain surgery with this new information. Edit. I have been informed that it's more like Jell-O than warm butter. My point still stands though because both are pretty soft and squishy and easy to cut through. I don't remember the exact year, but around the Two World War the US military dumped a shit-ton of metallic needles into the ionosphere to facilitate radio communications. A male hippo's mating call is to go in a body of water, surrounded by females, and then proceeding to poop and spin their tails. The more the poop flies around and gets scattered, the more attractive the male hippo is to the females. Queen, the band, is worth more than the Queen. This was after Bohemian Rhapsody. Queen, $600 million. The Queen, $486 million. I once saw this fact on another AskReddit post. Tumors can grow teeth. Centipedes can eat human flesh. That makes them even more scary, even though I didn't know that was possible. Imagine sleeping and waking up to a centipede eating you. Humans taste like pork according to a tribe of Polynesian cannibals. The word they use for human means long pig. Japanese woman breast size are getting bigger. A study showed that they've been increasing for 40 years straight. By 2018 they were 50% bigger than back in the 80s. Sloths don't sweat and BC of this don't have a smell. Any smell that comes from a sloth originates from debris in their fur and not them specifically. Another fun one. There's no such thing as a seagull. There's plenty of types of gulls, but there is no actual species named seagull. No one knows that one. The number 4 is the only number to have the same amount of letters as its numerical value. This probably won't be seen, but most birds can't suck up water to drink it. They have to tip their beak into the water, then tip their beak back to let the collected water run down their throats. Pigeons are capable of sucking up their water, though, and some overly enthusiastic drinkers will dunk their whole heads underwater. That it's illegal to push a drunk moose out of a plane in Canada. Which leads me to believe it's not illegal to push a sober moose. This fact was told me to when I was a wee Canadian babe and may not be right anymore.